What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Good evening, Dan Delmar and Akil Aline filling in for Aaron today. Robin Flynn is with me on the program tomorrow and for the rest of the week. It's time for James Mennie, who's on at 5:05 all summer long. Good evening, James.
Hello.
Let's begin with NATO, if you don't mind. We didn't get to that yesterday. And so money, obviously, a big issue. And when I look at the CTV News Channel headlines, it seems like the world around NATO is talking about Canada's spending or lack thereof on defense.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Canada has always been a deadbeat when it came to funding its military and its contribution to NATO. The thing is, Trudeau has made it clear he just doesn't care. In fact, yes, he's at this summit in Washington. It's the 75th anniversary of NATO, but he's also spending a lot of his time, if not most of his time, trying to build a home front defense with business leaders and other political factors in the U.S. in the event of Trump actually becoming the president of the United States this coming November. They seem to have written off Justin Trudeau. Certainly the U.S. has. The extraordinary step of more than 24 U.S. senators, Republican and Democrats, took time off from trying to strangle each other to compose not an open letter, but a direct letter to Justin Trudeau saying, you have got to start pulling your weight on this. And if you don't, your country may be singled out for the fact that it is basically, behaving like a deadbeat and not pulling its weight in an alliance where we're asking just, 2% of GDP. I think our latest plateau is like 1.35, 1.37. That's just for NATO. If you talk about the state of Canada's military right now, it's ridiculous. But all that said, it's in one Trudeau ear and out the other because he has other priorities, not the least of which, as I say, is creating a backdrop for Canada in the event that Donald Trump becomes president. Although in that case, it might be good news for Trudeau NATO-wise because the first thing Trump might do is pull out of NATO. So all of a sudden, Canada will not be a major problem for the alliance.
And we also hear other things in the news, James, things like the Plant administration actually calling for another public consultation on how to deal with the city's homelessness crisis. Do you think, what's your take on that? Do you think Valérie Plante actually believes that what the city's homeless community needs or population requires is another public consultation?
No, she knows that she knows what it needs, and Quebec knows what it needs, but they both of them know that they have neither the means nor, quite frankly, the will to provide it. 4 decades ago when I started in this business, it was a cliche, right? In Quebec, whenever you're confronted with a problem that you don't want to solve or you can't be bothered to solve, you just create a commission, which is exactly what happened today. The idea that you're going to consult with homeowners and property owners about how they feel about, the city perhaps locating, a supervised injection site across from their local elementary school. Well, we saw that in Point St. Charles. We know the answer to that. This is the Plante administration simply trying to stall for time and to create, as far as I'm concerned, a pretty false narrative, which is linking the problem of homelessness in Montreal to a lack of housing. If you follow the issue of homelessness in Montreal, you know that it predates the housing, the perceived housing crisis by about 20 years. We're talking certainly about the lamentable state, the scandalous state of Quebec's mental health care system. We're talking about the growing role that addiction plays in homelessness. But the idea that affordable housing is for some reason contributing to this real wave of homelessness that we're seeing across the island of Montreal, that these camps are springing up. The idea of that, if we only had enough affordable housing, this would disappear, is insulting not only to the intelligence of Montreal taxpayers, but also to the intelligence of the people who are stuck in this morass of homelessness. The idea that down the road, we'll try and have some formula to build more buildings. No. It's a matter of mental health. It's a matter of helping people with addiction. That I know that's health. I know that's Quebec's jurisdiction, but quite frankly, it's everybody's business. And I just get a little hot under the collar when I see yet another generation of politicians trying to palm this off as being, it's beyond our ken. But let's have a consultation and see what's new in this after 40 years.
Eric Duhem, leader of the Conservative Party of Quebec, wades into the situation at McGill, tweeting that he met McGill University management yesterday, and upon arrival, he describes the university administration building boarded up, looking bad, and just the whole scene being an embarrassment. You can check that out on his Twitter page. But is he saying anything really unreasonable, James?
No, I don't think so. I think, as a matter of fact, say what you will about Eric Jane, he does have a work ethic. And he is focusing on an issue that a lot of politicians seem to want to just, push to one side. But the fact is, he pointed out, it's funny, Aaron and I were talking about this last Friday, but he pointed out again that how is it that City of Montreal fire inspectors can shut down 4 restaurants on the eve of Grand Prix weekend, and yet when they're told to go to hell by protesters, by squatters at McGill University's campus, they simply tug their forelock and walk away. There's something very wrong with this picture. It's clear that the Plante administration is giving this particular demonstration a huge hall pass. It's being treated with kid gloves from day one. And quite frankly, I think it's just a matter. I get the impression that these squatters are just trying to push the envelope with each passing day. I hope this doesn't end badly. I hope it ends peacefully. But right now, I see no indication for anybody, certainly in the occupation, and certainly from the people who are supposed to be, ensuring law and order here, that the status quo is going to change. And I think that does not bode well, because I think the longer that encampment is there, the more difficult it's going to be to get rid of. And oddly enough, here's Valerie Plante saying, the right to protest. I thought you may have disagreed with the geography, but I thought the encampment in Victoria Square was just as legitimate as that in McGill. But apparently, if it's on public property, it can't be tolerated. And I think the concern was as well, if we can harken back to our first subject, I think the concern as well is that the homeless in downtown Montreal will be joining that encampment, which is why they want to nip it in the bud. But all that said, you can't blame him for trying. And quite frankly, I think he's got a point. Both the province and the city have been hiding under their beds since this occupation began, and you really have to wonder how long the tail is going to keep wagging the dog.
And do you think there's a risk that if this encampment isn't shut down, as Eddie Duhem has called for it to be, that this might encourage more of that kind of protest tactic, not just from people who agree with this particular cause, but other people who represent other viewpoints on other issues?
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. I mean, it's a matter, right now the cops are saying, well, we're monitoring it, and, we're trying to make sure that no violence occurs. But the fact is, the potential for violence is there every day. Do we have to wait for something to happen for people to move in and say, okay, this can't go on? They've been there for more than 2 months. I think they've made their point. It's clear McGill is not going to budge. So the idea that we will not move until our demands are met, nobody on earth can make that kind of a statement and get away with it. And I really think that it's, as we say in these parts, it's time the squatters put some water in their wine.
James MENNIE of the Montreal Gazette. Thanks, James. See you tomorrow.
Demain.